Thank you very much, Aditya. These are extremely difficult times for us back in India. That being said, this is something that I'm truly passionate about, talking about my journey and what we've built for India, and extremely humbled to be speaking at the TiECon Summit. In fact, I just took out some time from managing my hospital to see Reed speak about Netflix, and it's amazing. India is a huge opportunity for digital startups worldwide. So would start my journey, and this is the part of my journey which is very exciting, is the fact that I have no idea about what startups ups were. I'm a medical doctor by education, and back in India, we have something called the APS, which is the Asian Parent Syndrome. I have 37 doctors in my family, and everyone forced me to become a doctor. This is 2012, and this is almost 8.5 years back. While I was finishing my final year MBBS exam in India, we have something called the Bachelor of Medicine and Surgery, and I was working at Gangaram Hospital when I decided to fight with my family and follow my passion for entrepreneurship. The first startup that I did, which was very interesting, was in the space of augmented reality, and we had built a startup called AdStuck, which built an app called Alive, which was the most downloaded augmented reality app in India. Post doing that, I realized one thing, that effectively we are the largest digital democracy as India in the world, and the largest consumer base of the world when it comes to digital consumption. But our education system is in shackles. We are still producing 60% of all engineers as non-industry 4 engineers or corporate or computer science engineers. Our focus is again towards 1970s education of mechanical engineering. We are taught the wrong literature in our schools. I truly believe that as Indian community, we are a genetic gold mine to build the Googles and Facebooks of the world right here in Bangalore, Delhi and Bombay. The question is, what is stopping us from building these world-class products? So one of the things that we are doing back in India is that founders investing in other founders, which is extremely prevalent in the Silicon Valley. I'm a product of Y Combinator, and I realized that the best thing that happened to my startup was the fact that I got a small amounts of capital from a lot of angel investors who were founders themselves. So the first thing that I would urge all the founders here is the fact that try and raise capital from founders, because they've been there, done that. These are things which will really help you out. I realized that the best founders create opportunities from their own problems. And there are two high ROI businesses. The first one is, as a trait, is change. As Darwin says, it is not the fastest or the largest who will survive. It is the one who adapts to the ever-changing world, and change as a word should be innately built in all entrepreneurs. The second one is spotting mega trends. I truly believe that more than executionary brilliance, the most important reason why founders become great founders is spotting the right trends and ensuring that they follow a large TAM, which is the total addressable market. For me, in 2015, I realized one thing, that India is an infrastructurally challenged country, and we started something called Innovate. We built India's first co-working space, which was on the lines of WeWork. We built the most beautiful, and we have been recognized by Fortune magazine, by Forbes magazine for our ability to create beautiful offices right in the hearts of Indian cities like Delhi, Bombay and Bangalore. This was the first space that we built in the heart of Delhi, in a place called Connaught Place in New Delhi. And the day we launched, we got a massive response. And today we have scaled this business to over 40 campuses. We are India's second largest co-working space in terms of asset under management. And these are the spaces that we have built so far in India. These are spaces in Gurgaon, across 14 cities in India. This is Bombay, this is Bangalore, or this is Bombay again, this is Hyderabad. And our whole idea was, WeWork is expensive. Let us become the most beautiful space ever using Indian design materials, Indian design firms and local artisans. At the same time, let us be at least half of the cost of a WeWork or a competitor of that category. And as you know, in India, 91% of the population earns under $100 every single month. We realize that we are a massive base of the pyramid market, and that is the reason that we have placed our costs around $100 to $120 per seat per month, which is actually very affordable for a market like India in strong and hot market sectors like Bombay, Bangalore and Hyderabad. As we speak, we realize that at building the first principles of your startup is extremely important. For us at Innovate, those were community, location, design and technology-led ops. The question is, can you create a space which boasts of all of these at the same time? Can you scale the business as if it was a technology-led business? And doing a lot of community events actually helped us. And finally, last year, we sold the business in an all-cash deal to Oyo Group. And now within Oyo, we are expanding the business not only in India, but have plans to expand it beyond the country. So after doing all of that, I realized one thing. I do not have an MBA. I'm just a medical doctor. I realized one thing, that the only thing that you need to be successful in whatever you do is that you need to outdo yourself on a daily basis. My request and urge to all young entrepreneurs is that notice trends, talk to your customers. The best thing that you can do, and as a part of my business, I have the privilege of talking to a lot of founders, because we have over 40 campuses span India, because of which I speak to a lot of founders on a daily basis. And I realize one trait that founders don't adopt, and that is they don't talk to their customers. They take a lot of time to talk to their customers because they're scared. The whole idea is outdo yourself and do things. Get out of your comfort zone. There are always two roads that will emerge, and always take the one less traveled, and that will always make the difference. We've realized that the only one thing that you need before you start your startup is, as Bhagat Singh said, Inqilab Zindabad. You need to stir a revolution. Your product should be either be the best, be the first, or be different. Create a purpose. The purpose, culture and execution. The PCE cycle will help you attract the finest people to work on the problem that you are solving for the world. Ensure that your purpose is large enough. Ensure that your purpose has significant impact, not only for you as a businessman, but for the environment, for all the stakeholders. Ensure that your culture is open, and the final goal of all cultures should be ensuring freedom for your partners and all your stakeholders. And last but not the least, your execution. Make sure that you should be the hardest working person on the largest possible problem. Become an inverse paranoid and fight tooth and nail every day to achieve your vision. Best founders are like Sarah Blakely. The whole idea with Spanx was the fact that was her own problem. I could not find a good office space. That was my own problem. The thing is great ideas are always a problem at first. See what are some of the problems that you are facing on a daily basis, and try and monetize one of those ideas. And after doing 100 iterations, you will find that one idea which will become a large one day. Another request that I have to young founders is jump. People don't jump. They continuously keep giving excuses that I will do my master's, only then I can start up. I can vouch on a piece of paper and sign it that you do not need a master's for being a successful startup. You need to jump. People don't jump. People don't leave their comfort zones. Today, hold your hand on your heart and just ask yourself, what would it take for you to leave your comfort zone and jump towards something which is extremely unknown? And most of the times your fear is nothing but false evidence appearing real. Make sure you are consistently, ask yourself this question on a daily basis. Are you away from your comfort zone? And eventually The more you expand your comfort zone, your arena of comfort zones becomes large, and you will be able to execute larger things. The second part of my conversation would be on the fact that you should start. The question is, on what idea do you work upon? And my true belief is that passion is extremely important. You should be mad about the challenge that you are solving. You should be extremely focused, because entrepreneurship is hard. If you're not passionate about the problem and you're only doing it for the money, sooner or later you will quit. Choose problems that truly do not make you sleep. Choose problems that have a large pie so that you can get more and more people to enjoy that pie instead of choosing a very small industry. Create not a product, but an industry. Create a legacy. Don't only build products for just making dollars. Create products for leaving an impact for this world. Because I've just realized that after a couple of $1 million, money is just a fallacy. The whole idea is to build products for which you can be remembered. Now, once your idea is final, you start building your MVP, which is your minimum viable product. Build, consistently keep on trying, keep on talking to your customers, iterate, reiterate, and then build as if money is of no value. But then you convert your MVP into a product market fit, which is iterate. But in this case, the only difference is that money is the only constraint. Try and talk to your customers and see what are the price points at which your customers would actually want to use your products at scale. There's one skill that every educational institute in this world should be able to teach you, and that is sales. In India, sales is considered as the worst job. And mind you, we are all selling. Sales is God. Sales is not just getting dollars, but owning customers, their problems, being there for your customers. Sales is the most positive word for an entrepreneur. When I'm talking to you, I'm selling myself. Even a beggar in India is selling he's basically trying to make you empathize for his lacunas. Ensure that you are the best salesman. And best salesmen do not just sell. I don't agree with the thought that best salesmen are basically trying to sell you things in a very forceful manner. Best salesmen are the ones who build long-term trustworthy relationships. Ensure that you build a brand and understand the value of building your founder's PR. Understand the value of building a cult-like following for your product and for yourself. Leverage the new age digital media for building not only a brand for yourself, but your product. Ensure that you have the best people in your team, and do not choose people because of their hierarchy or for the kind of work they've done in the past. Choose people who resonate with your frequency. Choose people, because this is when you have a co-founder, you literally have a wife or a husband with you. Ensure that you choose people whom you love solving a problem with. And last but not the least, raising capital is a skill that every founder should be aware about. The whole idea is that create first principles for your business. There's a term called fragile growth. Fragile growth means frugality plus agility. Frugality ensures that you value each and every resource that you have. And the most important resource is not capital, but your time. The second one is agility, your ability to continuously change yourself according to the feedback from the public. Create a rocket ship. Create a startup and think as large as you can. Create SOPs. Create decision matrix. When you execute, create a delivery management system and a corporate governance system as if you are a publicly listed company. Write down your thoughts as a founder. I've seen that founders who give 2 hours, digitally distracted 2 hours, who write down their thoughts are 2x more successful than founders who don't. Measure yourself, hold yourself accountable, and at the same time, ensure that you are building in something which is extremely impactful. We've seen that at times, more than IQ, your grit, your patience, your ability to continuously try, and your emotional quotient, the way you develop relationships, work extremely well when you are being a founder. Talking about disruption, this is Kodak, one of the largest companies in the world in 1980s. These are the founder of a company called BlackBerry. Out of Fortune 500 companies today, in that list, only 34 companies are alive. Large companies extinct. We are all like dinosaurs. The whole idea is it is not the largest or the fastest who will survive. It is the one who will continuously change. Focus on the Darwin's theory of evolution and continuously ask yourself, are you believing in natural selection? Are you focusing on understanding the fact that you will get eliminated if you don't change? The whole idea is innovate or die. Each day's success is rented. You need to pay the price by investing into capabilities and R&D. Consistently, your consumers' need will change every single day. And every single day, you need to ensure that you keep on serving your consumer well, else they will go to your competitors. At the same time, compounding. Make sure your product gets 1% better every single day. You can't even imagine how compounding works. It's amazing. At the same time, add trust. So there's a mathematical equation that I work upon when it comes to trust, and that is called the Trixie phenomenon. T stands for trust. Trust is equal to reliability into intimacy, into consistency, into credibility divided by self-interest. Whenever you are selling, never ever sell boldly. Always ensure that you first build trust. Sell ethically. That is selling is not about being forceful. Selling is about being ethical and building long-term solutions. Win-win partnerships. Reliability is your skill. How well does a product fare? Intimacy is the way your customers, your customer interaction teams talk to you. Credibility is what people say about your product behind your back. Consistency is doing a particular thing again and again. Starbucks has one of the highest NPS in the Fortune 500 companies. The reason is Starbucks in New Delhi gives the same Java chip as Starbucks in New York. The whole idea is consistently drive quality and ensure that your self-interest does not increase more than the trust does for your consumers. Create a culture which is so intertwined and integrated in your brand, your values. Don't run a sprint, run a marathon. Build a company that can stay alive for 300 to 400 years. Ensure that you are agile, you are collaborative, your heart of everything is the consumer, you are diverse, your execution is flawless, you have innovation is the center of everything that you do. You have ethical integrity. You understand the value of the company that it does to the environment. You understand performance metrics and respect for one another. Adopt digital in every value chain. While this is extremely clear in the US, in India, still there are conventional businesses who are challenging digital. Every single day, there's no concept about a tech company anymore. Each and every company is a tech company. Ensure that convert all your value chain systems into technology. Use technology in and out for everything that your company does. Even if you are selling samosas, leverage technology. Sell digitally. Ensure that at least 65 to 75% of your sales comes from online. That will give you a confidence which you can't even imagine. Ethics go a long way. I believe that networking is important, but more than that, ensure that you know extremely low number of people, but you should be extremely close to them, because by the end of the day, the whole idea is your credibility depends on those relationships. And this is the last part of my presentation. This is very interesting. Out of the 100 richest people in the world today, I thought that majority of them would have earned their capital by the trickle-down phenomenon, where their parents or their forefathers have given them the capital. To my surprise, 73 of them are self-made and only 27 were heirs. Out of these 73, I thought a lot of them would be from a Harvard, but this was very interesting. 18 had no college degrees, 36 children were born to extremely poor households, and the remaining neither had a good pedigree in terms of capital at their home, nor did they had seen a college gate. So the question that I asked myself was, what makes people great? And the answer was very interesting. We made something called the alchemist mindset. These were the traits. After researching more than 100 extremely successful people, I realized that it was not their education which led them apart, There were certain informal skills which our education system fails to impart, which actually help them become extremely successful. A stands for action. You'll be amazed. 99% of the people they don't take action. They don't do action. They're always scared. What if I fail? Stop doing that. Ask yourself, am I acting enough? Continuously act. Whatever you're thinking, try it out. Don't let most of the people, they die when they are 75, but they stop living when they are 25 because they've stopped taking risks. L stands for learning. Consistently keep on learning new and new things. C stands for confidence. Ensure that you are extremely confident but extremely humble. I think my time is up. I'll just take another 10 seconds. H stands for humility. E stands for enthusiasm and optimism. Ensure that you are in inverse paranoid. M stands for majestic dreamers. Make sure that you have the largest vision possible for you. I stands for innovation. S stands for strategic thinkers. Write down your goals. Have quantifiable goals. Do smart thinking. Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic and time-bound goals. And T stands for tinkering. Make long-term tinkering relationships. And I think that is extremely important. And my parting message would be genuinely nice, create value for everyone, run a marathon, build culture, focus, and take care of your health in these unprecedented times. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Malik, for sharing your entrepreneurship journey and insights on enabling science and technology. I'm